What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, we're diving into the Great League with Gliscor, Ferrothorn, and Dewgong, a team that I think is very strong in Gliscor. I've been saying it since the beginning. I think with the wing attack update, it is now here. It is now extremely meta, and you guys got to account for it. Alright, getting into the first battle, we have Gliscor on the lead versus a shiny Sableye right there. Huge flex. That means they got it because it's purified. They got a shiny Shadow, which is super cool. So congrats to them. But what we're going to look to do here is go straight for the Earthquake. I'm going to be trying to get myself even shields right here before I swap into Dewgong. So if they let this go through, sweet. If they decide to shield, I'm going straight into that Dewgong, and they decide to shield, so we're going to go ahead and go into Dewgong and start getting ahead on energy. Now, what's great about the Dewgong safe swap is if there is fighters in the back, typically Medicham, from what you guys will see, the Icy Wind debuff is so oppressive, or in this case, it's going to be a defense form Deoxys. Icy Wind really sets up the Gliscor to come back in and farm down a bit more safely. So we're going to go ahead and look to get another Icy Wind, but they do get to the charge move. We're going to let it go. If it's Rock Slide or Thunderbolt, so be it. But it's actually a Psycho Boost, which is not enough to take us down, which means we get 2 Icy Winds off. So this is a Psycho Boost debuff on their attack already, plus double Icy Wind. They're maxed out, no attack on a defense form Deoxys. So Gliscor right here, I do not care if this is Thunderbolt, if it's Rock Slide, whatever it is, I'm letting it go through because it's going to do no damage. That is a Thunderbolt right there, and we are just going to commit to the hard farm down, and Gliscor with energy is very dangerous. Now, they decide to swap into a Azumarill, and this is where Ferrothorn has been coming in so clutch for me lately. I have seen a lot more Azumarills this season than I typically have before, and it's for good reason, right? If there's a lot of Noctowls and there's a lot of Galarian Stunfisk, Azumarill can do well against both, which means Ferrothorn now has some play. Thunder, Power Whip as charge moves, great coverage and great energy gain as well. This thing's a monster. If you guys haven't built one yet, now's the time to give it a try. So we're going to go ahead and let this next Ice Beam go through. We're going to look to overload on energy, get to double Power Whip, and go ahead and throw it. Now remember, there's still the Sableye to deal with. Defense form Deoxys is somewhat low, but I have a charge move on my Ferrothorn, 2.5 charge moves on Gliscor. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Power Whip here against the Sableye. Then we'll be swapping out right away into our Gliscor. So they decide to shield. We're going to go ahead and swap out right away and go for a Night Slash just in case they decided to go into defense form Deoxys, because that sack swap might have come up, and we did get an attack boost here as well. But ultimately, with Gliscor right now, we have basically 2 Night Slashes, so we're going to go ahead and throw it right away. Yes, they did bring in Defense Form Deoxys, so this is going to be doing super effective damage, but I am one fast move away from the next Night Slash, so we're going to go ahead and throw it now against Sableye. And Gliscor, I'm telling you guys, if it can get some energy like we did there with Defense Form Deoxys by setting it up with the Dewgong Icy Wind safe swap, it can absolutely sweep teams like we are seeing right now. Or we got Gliscor versus Umbreon. So kind of a tough lead. There could honestly be anything in the back. So what I'm hoping to do here is go for an Earthquake and then go into the Dewgong. We're going to go ahead. I don't think I shield. Yeah. I don't decide to shield the first one. If I get caught with the second one, I will shield, but I shouldn't because they won't be able to get to another one in time. So what we're going to do here, I think that was 3 Snarls, so they should be at another foul play right now. I'm going to go ahead and swap out now into Dewgong to try to catch the charge move, but they decided to hold it and load up on energy. And here comes that Medicham. So just like before, we saw Defense Form Deoxys come in. Now we see a Medicham come in, which frees up Ferrothorn in the late game, right? Both Dewgong and Ferrothorn are weak to fighters. Pokemon with the fast move of counter. We're going to go ahead and let these charge moves go through. It's just a power-up punch. So this is kind of like, it's tough because power-up punch is going to negate the Icy Wind debuff, but at least we get this Medicham low with Ice Shards and Icy Wind, where we might see the Gliscor be able to fully farm down with Wing Attack. So here comes the next Icy Wind. They decide to let it go, which is fine. We're just going to do as much damage as we can, but they did fully farm us down. Now, this is a tough situation because if they have Ice Punch, I have to shield no matter what basically on the Gliscor right here, because if they get to the Ice Punch, I try to fast move down. I could have potentially thrown the Night Slash there, But I'm just going to go ahead and shield, and let's see. It's going to be the Psychic, so that's fine. We're going to go ahead and farm down, and they decide to bring in the Umbreon, so I'm going to swap out instantly into Ferrothorn to catch the charge move here. Foul Play doesn't do as much damage against Ferrothorn as it does against Gliscor, and I'm not sure what they have in the back, but I'm hoping that with the combination of Ferrothorn and Gliscor, we can take them out. Now, they do have 2 shields still, which is going to be very tough. So we're going to go ahead and throw the Power Whip here. So let's see what they decide to do. If they decide to shield, I might commit a shield here on Ferrothorn, but they don't. They let it go. Final Pokemon is a Nidoqueen, which honestly, out of anything we could see, this is our best bet. We have a Pokemon with a Steel typing right now that resists, well, actually neutral damage, and they decided to let that go through. I feel like that was a mistake on their end. Granted, I get to 2 anyways because they are committing to the farm down, but I'm going to go ahead and now this is going to be up to Gliscor now, and I'm going to let this go through. If it's Stone Edge, so be it, but I think it's just going to be a Poison Fang, and the second Poison Fang will do more damage because they loaded up on so much energy. Because a Poison Fang lowers your defenses, the second one does more damage. So now I'm going to go ahead and we do get to another Night Slash in time, so that is perfectly fine right here. Had we gotten 2 shields with both Power Whips, right, in hindsight, their shielding it wouldn't have mattered because I would have gone for the Earthquake there to boom them. So we have Gliscor, good game. We have Gliscor now versus Galarian Stunfisk on the lead. Somewhat of a decent lead for us because of the Earthquake damage, but what I am more concerned about is what their backline could have on it, and they decide to swap out into their own Gliscor. And this is perfect here for Dewgong because we can fully farm down, and we don't need to give up a shield. Granted, I could shield this Earthquake, which is likely going to be right here, but I decide to let it go. That way I can farm down and go for an Icy Wind now versus the Galarian Stunfisk to do neutral damage and apply that debuff to them so that Rock Slides don't do as much to my own Gliscor, which is already loaded on energy. So they let the Icy Wind go through, no surprise there, and they go for the Rock Slide, which is fine. We can now come in with Gliscor, and I'm going to go, because Switch Clock is still not up, I'm going to go for the Earthquake right away to force that first shield of this game. So we do get it. Switch Clock is now coming back up, and they decide to swap into Frostlass, which is a perfect setup for us because we are at the Night Slash already, which again will apply more pressure, super effective damage, and now we can swap into Ferrothorn right here, which should be able to get to 2 Power Whips in time and close this game out. Now I will give up a shield here against the Avalanche because it is going to do a lot of neutral damage, and I want Ferrothorn to be a bit more healthy to take on the Galarian Stunfisk in the back. Now, if they decide to shield this Power Whip, which they do, I should be able to now overload on energy with Ferrothorn. I'm not going to try to CMP tie right there. What I want to do is safely double shield this Frostlass, load up on some more energy, get to double Power Whips basically, or right near double Power Whips, because the Galarian Stunfisk in the back still takes neutral damage. So this is looking to be a good game, very well played. My opponent would have to throw basically 1 Earthquake and 2 or 3 Rock Slides in order to take out my whole team, which they're not going to be able to do here because I will be able to get to this Night Slash, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. So again, Ferrothorn and Gliscor really coming in clutch, and the Dewgong safe swap draws out those hardest counters that we see with like Defense Form Deoxys or Medicham, allowing Ferrothorn to do a lot better in the late game. Now, they do have back-to-back Rock Slides right here. So it was 2 Rock Slides, and now they have to get to 1 more Earthquake by the time I do 1 Fast Move, which is impossible. So that is a good game right there to my opponent. Right, moving to the next one, we have Gliscor on the lead versus Charizard with a party hat. You love to see it, but we're going to go ahead and look to go for a Night Slash right away. I know Charizard is very glassy, but they do swap out now into Pelipper, which is very interesting. Now I have a choice. Do I come in with Ferrothorn or do I come in with Dewgong? And I'm going to opt to come in with the Ferrothorn. My reason being is I should be able to go for this Power Whip here. I should be able to survive. Actually, I think I decide to shield right here. Yeah, decide to shield the Hurricane and then go for the Power Whip. My hope is that I overloaded enough energy there. I should have loaded up more. I thought I would be able to load up enough energy to go for a Thunder here against Charizard, but with the Wing Attack update, Charizard gets to Blast Burn a lot quicker than you think. So they do 1, they do 2 attacks, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm letting this go. There's no way I'm shielding if it is Blast Burn, but yeah, it was. Boom! Boom! Down goes my Ferrothorn. Woo! I didn't farm enough energy there, unfortunately. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and come in with the Gliscor right here, and we do see a swap out now into Mantine. So yes, that is a triple flying team for my opponent. So huge spicy play to them. I hope they did well against Bastiodons. Galarian Stunfisk wouldn't be as bad because you do have Blast Burn, you do have Weather Balls, and you do have Bubble Beam, Ice Beam, but Bastiodon would definitely be tough. But either way, or a Lantern, either way, that's a fun team from my opponent, even though it's not the most like balanced team. It's just fun to see triple flyers right there. So we're going to go ahead and let all these charge moves go through. Ice Beam and Bubble Beam do nothing to a Dugong. So we're going to go for this Icy Wind here, and then we're going to load up on energy as much as we can for the Charizard that is likely going to be coming back in soon. Because remember, they still have 2 shields, and there's the Charizard. So we're going to go ahead and go for that Icy Wind. But also remember, we loaded up, I think I have 2 Night Slashes ready to go on my Gliscor. So we're going to go ahead and load up on energy. We will have to shield the Blast Burn right here as well, because it's going to be up to Dugong in order to take down the Mantine. So we stop that Blast Burn. We go for one more Icy Wind now in order to force that final shield from our opponent. And then we're going to swap out into Gliscor to go for the double Night Slash that we have ready to go. And hopefully this is going to be enough damage to take them out. And they might be close to a Dragon Claw. It's not enough right there. And it was a CMP tie, which means they did have enough. Oh, the Charizard is so dead. I love using Charizard as well. If you guys want to see, I have a couple videos on the channel. But we CMP tie with the second Night Slash, which is unfortunate now, because Mantine now can come in and farm me down for energy, and I can't get to another Night Slash, so this is actually going to be a lot closer of a game than I was anticipating, but I think we're still going to be okay. Ice Beam doesn't do too much damage, and neither does Bubble Beam, so yeah, we are looking pretty good right here. We should be able to just fast move down, unless this is an Ice Beam. If this is Ice Beam, I think it's game over. It's just a Bubble Beam. Okay, we survived. So good game, very well played to my opponent. Super fun team that they had right there. Triple flyers, Charizard, Mantine, and Pelipper. All right, moving to the next one. We got Gliscor on the lead versus Trevenant. Okay, pretty positive lead here for us. We will likely see them swap out, and they do, into Galarian Stunfisk. So now this is a situation where Gliscor is core breaking them. It does very well against Trevenant and Galarian Stunfisk. But thankfully, I do have a Dugong in the back, which can still do super effective damage to Trevenant. So what I'm looking to do here is go for the Earthquake right away. We do get a shield. I'm going to go ahead and load up on energy. I'm going to swap into Ferrothorn now. Because Trevenant, as long as Ferrothorn's on the field, it can still put in some work here. And we catch the Rock Slide as well, which is huge. It can still put in work for neutral damage against Galarian Stunfisk. But at least when Galarian Stunfisk is gone, right? And Trevenant comes back onto the field to farm us down, I have options. I have Dugong and Gliscor to handle them. So we'll have to see what their final Pokemon is going to be. Hopefully it's not a Zoomerl. But the Earthquake right there, it does a lot, but honestly not too much. We're going to go ahead and go for this next Power Whip to take out the Galarian Stunfisk. Since we did get ourselves shield advantage, we are sitting in a good situation, but they decided to double shield. Very interesting. They really want switch advantage, which I am totally fine with, because Dugong now is free to come in. I know they have a Trevenant in the back, right, which Dugong can beat with Ice Shards and Icy Wind, especially with 2 shields, but it's a matter of what that final Pokemon is. And I'm also not going to be shielding this Rock Slide, even though it does do super effective damage. We're just going to commit to the farm down right now and have loaded energy. So let's see what decides to come in. It's going to be the Trevenant. I'm like, alright, so Dugong, maybe there's an Altaria in the back, some kind of flyer, but Dugong right here is putting in work. We're going to go ahead and just fast move down. This is fine by me. I'm going to go ahead and shield. They won't be able to get to 2 Seed Bombs in time because they just don't have enough energy, and it was in fact a Zoomerl in the back. So what we can do here is go for an Icy Wind to debuff the Azumarill and then swap into Gliscor now and look to go for the Earthquake, as it will do a lot of neutral damage. Now we are forced to use our final shield here with the Ice Beam. Now granted, if Azumarill had just Azumarill just came straight in, I would have just Icy Wind it to death, and it would have been a good game either way, because Gliscor would have had a Night Slash to go against the Trevenant. There was really no way for them to come back, especially since they went for the double shields on Galarian Stunfisk, which really surprised me right there. But we are going to be able to... Oh, Night Slash didn't do enough damage there. That's okay. Dewgong can come in and just fast move down this game. Remember, Trevenant already threw all its energy with the Seed Bomb, so it's going to go down to 1 Ice Shard right there, and then Azumarill is going to go down to 2 Ice Shards, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. All right. And that was the final one. So, this team was really solid. I think the play style worked out well against the meta that we saw. We saw a lot of meta teams, a lot of meta Pokemon. Dewgong Safe Swap really set us up, especially against those meta champs in Defense Form Deoxys. Gliscor with Energy was amazing. And Ferrothorn really did well at core breaking a lot of teams, or putting a lot of neutral pressure in situations when I needed it. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Be sure to give this team a try. And like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.